Bitcoin's price is absolutely ripping right now. Well, we're looking on the 15-minute chart. So what does this actually look like? Because we're right at that deciding moment. At the moment, are we going to break out of this, find support, and continue to the upside, or is this going to reject and come back down? Because when you look at this big green line, let's see exactly what that big green line is. It seems like this goes all the way back to 2021, these double top scenario here where you project this trend line out. It's also where we rejected here in January earlier this year. And then, of course, rejections throughout May. We've broken beyond it. And what's most pivotal right now is this move to the downside currently is just testing are the bulls going to come in and defend this zone? What we are really watching for is if Bitcoin breaks down below this and has support here in this 108K region, or if we fall back down below and we see the bears take over control in the near term. We have Jackson Hole this Friday. We have rate cuts next month. Everybody's hinging on what the tonality of Jerome Powell is going to be, because we also see in Ethereum, same thing. We have that sort of falling wedge here, especially on the 4-hour that we did break down below, bear trap. Now we're going back above. Is this going to be a bull trap? That double trap scenario that I talk about all the time. And then, of course, the others chart, look, breaking out of a downtrend here. Are we seeing the reversal? Is it starting to take place? Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, follow us for more, and watch this whole video. Click the link down below if you are watching this on a short. But big love to each and every one of you. Let's get into it. Hit that like button, share this out, get active in the live chat. We're going to be getting The market is starting to see some of those bulls come back in, and we're seeing some movement to the upside. But I beg you, do not get so trapped in the immediate movement of an asset that you think that the full reversal's in. I'm not saying that the reversal's not here. I'm just saying if it's moving up, wait for any move to the downside to see where the bulls come in. If it breaks back down, wait for a move up to see if the bears come back in. In this case right now, we see the others chart is showing that breakout. After we had the fake out to the downside, now are we getting a secondary fake out to the upside, which has been the story of the last year in this market, where we get the move happening in both directions. In this case, down, bear trap, up, bull trap, back to equilibrium, a little consolidation, and then the move? Or is this actually going to be the reversal where we get the, basically this move to the upside? Or is this going to be the fake out where this moves up? You're convinced it goes long, so you go 40x long only to get basically chopped out and the market falls back down. Everything is hinging right now on what Jerome Powell says on Friday, the Jackson Hole Summit. Now, this is going to be very interesting because the market volume is a bit low, tends to be coming into this period of the month in August. We've seen almost historically over the last 6 or 7 years of the Jackson Hole Summit, when they happen, the market has pulled back, but this has been in a tightening environment. Are we on the cusp of breaking that trend? Well, we're going to be diving into that. And more importantly, we're going to be looking at what the charts are telling us, because the signals told us this was likely going to break down coming into this high here, whether you're watching on the others chart, whether you're watching here on the total 3 minus USDT and USDC, or the actual total 3 with everything. You see this much higher where the RSI basically flat, the money flow lower, bearish divergence, signaling this was likely going to break down. We got it. Is this just the move up to confirm before this absolutely tanks? Well, everything's in store right now in the very near term. This market is going to be going up and to the right. It is. But in the near term, between now and September, depending on what Jerome Powell says on Friday and depending on what the decision actually is in September, is going to make a huge determination about what happens essentially between now all the way into October when the next FOMC meeting is. Now, as everybody rolls in here, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the family. It seems like my camera crashed there. That's freaking fantastic. Awesome. Let me change that shit up real quick. Hold on one second. All right. Every day, it's something with technology that is just an absolute piece of shit. You know what I was trying to say. Come on, camera. Fuck. There we go. Okay, cool. So let's dive into it because we got some key signals that are sort of popping up right now where everybody wants this to absolutely rip to the upside. We've got to pay attention to this move right here. So again, welcome to the BitLab Academy stream. My name's Kellam. If this is your first time, I can guarantee it's not going to be your last time. Shout out to our channel partners, Bitcoin IRA. You can find more information on them at bitcoinira.com. And of course, Arculus. Head over to Get Arculus, GETARCULUS, getarculus.com. Use code BitLab. Man. BitLab 20 for 20% off. Now, let's dive into what we got to look at because we're seeing some magic in the data right now. We got the fear and greed has come down. Remember, we're on the precipice of what a lot of people still believe is going to be a monumental run to the upside. The fact that we've had this sort of choppiness of narrative, both bullish and then completely met with bearishness, and then overwhelming bullishness, and then overwhelming bearishness, has left this market to still stand in a fairly neutral ground. In fact, I saw a post yesterday from Benjamin Cowan highlighting the fact that the social sentiment in the market is basically near all-time lows. It's basically at the lows that it tends to be at when we're in the bottom of bear markets. And yet Bitcoin is still hovering, dancing around that all-time high, pushing to new all-time highs, pulling back 5 or 8%, and then just hovering here in this 113, 114, 118, $120,000 range. And yet the market data, the sentiment is still showing that we're still very neutral. This is overwhelmingly bullish if we do get that push to the upside. And we're seeing that we are getting some pushes right now. We got Memcore up 19%, OKB up 13%, Pump Fund up 10%. Let's look at shit that matters because none of that, I don't give a damn about any of those. Okay, let me come off this screen real quick. Let me log in because for whatever reason, this logs me out every time I use it. Log in so you can't see every bit of data I have. Come on, let's go. All right, there we go. Now looking at the watch list here, this is more stuff that actually matters. And we got, I don't even know why this is not my watch list. I don't know what Purify is. Let's take off Swarm. There we go. All right. So we got Swarm markets up 20%, Constellation DAG up 10%, Checks making a bit of a run back to the upside, 10%. Aerodrome kind of bouncing here and showing a little bit of tenacity to the upside. Will it follow through? But importantly here, Chainlink is in what is in that list of some of the top movers, up 6%. And when we come over to the markets and we realize, especially looking at the others chart, that, we have this head and shoulders that very clearly broke down, bear trap clearly as this came back up above the neckline here. Are we going to invalidate this head and shoulders? These patterns right here tend to be patterns that show reversals. And if this is moving up into it, that reversal will be to the downside, correct? Well, they don't always have to play out. In fact, because this indicated this sort of potential reversal, a lot of people were clamoring here on the break of this neckline. Let me get out of my assets only to have it reversed. This is the story of this market over this last year and a half of just setting up a reversal, tricking people, and then going the opposite direction and basically invalidating this whole move. But we still need to see this play out. We still need to see the movement go to the upside, the bulls defend on the next retrace, and then a continuation for this absolutely to be invalidated. So let's pay attention to that. But let's go ahead and go to the live chat right now, see how you guys are doing. We got a Ravioli Trail, how you doing? Ryan Boylan, Green Day Profits, Londonio, how you doing? K-Jam, we got the whole crew in the house, so big love to each and every one of you. 1,100 people in the room right now. Big love to you. Hit the like button if you haven't yet. Engage with the stream. Say something, even if it's just a letter. Type in a B for bullish or type in for a B for bearish. I don't care what it is. Get engaged with the live chat. Let us know that you are alive. Curious where you're all tuned in from. Say GM and say the city that you're in. I will say GM, Atlanta, and I am bullish going into September. Watch for chop. What are y'all's thoughts? Let me see what you guys are thinking. I can't spell Atlanta clearly there, but you see what I'm saying. We got Fear and Loathing Media, Stevie Crypto, Andy D, Fade and Traffi. How's everybody doing? It's good to see you all. Now let's go ahead and let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that I noticed in this market that we really need to be paying attention to. Case in point is this right here. This is what we need to be watching. This is from Caleb Franzen. This is that same level that I highlighted. Remember I was talking 2 days ago about a potential move if we lost 112, 111,000. We'd be watching that move down into that 108K, 109K region. I talked about it, I think, yesterday and last week. And that has to do with this previous range tops that we see in here, and also all of this volume that traded on this run up and sell off here. So if we lose, this is kind of the line in the sand for the near term bulls. This is a line in the sand for if we're expecting bullishness really in September into October. If we come down and lose this here in the coming days, and reject and come down, it's going to be it's going to take a pretty big shift in potential sentiment about where this market could go in the near term. So let's pay attention to this line. Similarly, we can see this on my chart as well. I've been talking about this level, and that is this. Look at this 100. Here we go. Let me move this up. Okay, we can just have every error possible. This line right here, 100, basically just under $112,000. In this case, we had the falling wedge. These tend to break bullish, but we got the bear trap out of it. Now we're pushing up into it. We have not had a reversal yet. We have not broken out of this. And, secondarily, the breakout of this does not mean that we have a reversal. A breakout of this trend line right here, what we would need is currently, we need a breakout. We need a move to the downside that forms a higher low with the bulls defending that territory, and then a move up that takes out this high right here. That would show the intentions to move higher. Currently, we just have a potential near-term reversal candle here, and it all depends on what happens at this juncture. Now, we talked about this the last few days. We talked about the lower lows and the flat RSI here, potential setup for bullish divergence. In addition to that, we see the large bearish wick here that the bulls have just completely eaten up and turned this into a bullish candle. So we are starting to see signs. If this does push up, the immediate spot I'll be watching on Bitcoin, if this breaks out of this, that doesn't mean we have a reversal. We need to watch this low right here. All of these lows right in this previous range. We need to see this either reject here, bulls defend, then break through, or we need to see this breakthrough, bulls sort of defend here, and then we have a continuation. This is just the start. It's just one of the ingredients we're looking for if we're expecting this to be a reversal, which I personally don't fully expect going into January, into Friday, the Jackson Hole Summit conversation. Whatever happens between now and Friday is kind of a wash, because depending on what's said, it will either catalyze that, if it is bullish movement, to continue up, or if it's bullish movement into that, completely reject it, and this would just be a bull trap to the upside and have a massive washout to the downside. So we need to be a little bit patient here, and this is why. When we come over here and we realize these levels we're watching, great. But then beyond that, we've got some other major things. It is Wednesday. Check out, I posted this yesterday, hump day to break the slump. Stats suggest it's possible. And what are these stats? These stats are every day aggregated over the course of a year, which days have the biggest returns or losses. And in this case, Wednesday absolutely dominates in terms of biggest gains. Now, why would that be? Well, if you look in traditional markets, you tend to see the market take an initiative in a movement, in a narrative direction, following the market opening I'm talking about futures and options on Sunday night. And then Monday and Tuesday, you have a move in a direction in the market. Wednesday tends to be a reversal point in traditional markets, which is also starting to prove loosely true in crypto as well. And so you have a move in one direction, and then you have a move in the opposite direction the rest of the week. It could be down into up or up into down. And this all has to do with people trading the speculative side of these assets and wanting to have those spreads and then changing direction to take liquidity the other direction. That's one of the reasons why we always and so frequently look at these liquidation heat maps, because it also paints a story about where the majority of the liquidity is going to be in terms of an incentive for a price to go there. I'm looking at the 1 week chart here on Bitcoin's perpetual, basically liquidation heat map for leveraged positions on Binance. And what do you see on this 1 week chart? We see all of the liquidity is above us. How do I know that? Very bright yellow. There's almost no liquidity below us. And so it's almost like they've exhausted the longs. In this case, people are long, they get liquidated. They long, they get liquidated. Long, they're getting liquidated. And now we're getting all these people that have piled up shorts, which has provided a huge amount of liquidity above us. This is one of those reasons why, although you might see the price go down or you might see the price go up, it doesn't mean that's going to be the definitive direction that's going to continue. If we have the price action, even right now, with as bullish as we want to be, if this were to push up, interestingly, look at where I have the level on the chart. And I've had this for some time. This box right here between 117 and basically 117 and 119. Drag that over and we can see this zone right here, 117, 119. Look at the liquidation heat map. Look at where there's a lot of liquidity, right in that 118, 119 zone. Now remember, these leverage positions, there tends to be there can be a slight bit of a spread in terms of the pricing, but this is showing the shorts are essentially directly, the liquidity is directly above this zone. So if price pushes up into this, it doesn't mean that the full reversal's here. In fact, we need to be patient, and I did a tweet about it this morning, that we potentially could even see chop all the way into the FOMC meeting in September. So if we move up into this, now where would that put us on the Fibonacci's? Would that put us past that golden pocket? Well, let's look. I don't know why. Here, option F, my keyboard might have died. There we go. Yeah. So look at this. So the golden pocket is actually relatively above where we had that. Yeah, I think I shrank the size of that when I did that. It should be like that. Yeah. So the golden pocket is a little bit above this, which is also, look at this, 119.9. Look at the liquidation heat map. Look at where this is, 119.7, 119.8, 119.9, 120. So the liquidation heat map is set up for a potential reversal, liquidity grab, if just coming up into an area that you could regularly see a rejection at the golden pocket. This is a normal spot for price to come back to, test, and then continue to the downside. Does this mean I'm bearish? No, I'm looking at different time frames, okay? Looking into the end of this month, right? Looking into what we're seeing going into September, looking at where we're going the rest of this year. I think we still have a major leg to the upside. However, in the near term, we may get a bounce that takes us up into the golden pocket and reject and come down. We have to pay attention to what happens at this territory. Basically, we're start paying attention at 117, but in this 120K territory is going to really be the deciding factor what happens in the next 2 months. If this does bounce up into this any sort of near-term time frame and reject. But there's other things on the horizon. Yes, Wednesdays tend to reverse, so let's pay attention to Friday. But we also have some other major things going on. 2025 crypto market, it makes this statement more true than ever. I'm sure a lot of us are feeling this. The markets remain irrational longer than most people can stay solvent. This is what's going on right now, is we're seeing a changing of the global finance guard, and also the change in regulations, and also the new appetite by the biggest money players in history. Bitcoin will go up over time. And in process of going up, it's going to do all this chop nonsense that's going to take money from the impatient. This time is different though. Well, yeah, this time is always different, but this time is also the same. Markets do enough to suggest that this pattern, that fractal that we saw last time, only to extend, break, and fake out. This is exactly what's happening. Patience. This is what markets do. As we see the wolf of Wall Street right here, just saying, stack and hold, or stack and go outside, right? Do something else. Now, beyond that, we've got some other major things. Buenos Aires, Argentina, to allow citizens to settle their taxes in Bitcoin and crypto. Who knows? Think about some of those budget neutral ways that they had sort of floated here and discussed in the US government regarding the strategic Bitcoin reserve, and not outright buying Bitcoin, but budget neutral ways. Maybe they start also offering being able to pay your taxes in Bitcoin here in the US. Who knows? But this is major. Argentina, but it's not just Argentina, Brazil, to discuss proposed national Bitcoin reserve today. So we're seeing these conversations with the major sovereign bodies globally talking about what is our strategy going to be with Bitcoin. Even having the conversation lends a huge amount of credibility to the future of Bitcoin. So these things are major. So in these dips, remember all the foundational things that are getting set up in front of us on a daily basis. And then we also see the accumulation demand for Bitcoin just hit an all-time high, while retail is worrying. Whales have been loading up. Now, there's going to be, slight variations in this data day over day and what's going on with price. And one day you might see, a large whale from 2011 era sell 30,000 Bitcoin or 80,000 Bitcoin. But we just saw that happen. Mike Novogratz just dumped a huge 80,000 Bitcoin, not $80,000, 80,000 Bitcoin on the market, and it absorbed it like that. Very, very small impact on the price, and then it ended up resolving back to the upside. So what we're seeing, these monumental accumulation addresses just rising exponentially at a time right now where world governments are setting up to stack, and also corporate strategies. Bitcoin is the narrative of the future. We're seeing it in the data. The difference right now is that some retail is getting scared, so they sell. We talked about that yesterday. We don't need to go too deep on that. Now, continuing on, we see the Ethereum whales with the balance of more than 10,000 Ethereum have been stacking hard since July. And yet people are worried right now. Right after Tom Lee, Fundstrat, just announced that they're going to be buying $20 billion worth of Ethereum for the Bitmine. This is incredible. And yet people are worried when we get a little pullback, which is part of normal bull trend behaviors. Rise, retrace, continuation. In this case, when we look at Ethereum, here, and we see the monumental move that Ethereum has made in a relatively short period of time. Look at this. Down here, basically, look at it, about $1,400. Let me get there we go. About $1,400 to the wick. We take this up here to 229% move, up $3,389 up to this high that we got. In a matter of, how many days was this? Okay, let me zoom out on this. I don't know why this always does that. There we go. Okay, now that would be, look at that, 133 days. Okay, yeah, I'm on the weekly. In about 126 days, 18 weeks, moved up $3,000. And people are worried. People are worried when what we see in bull trends is rise, retrace, continuation, retrace, continuation. The one thing that we need to be worried about here, and again, I don't think it's a massively worrisome thing, is that this is a large impulse. This is a larger impulse. This is a smaller impulse. You can just see it by the size. Larger, a little bit larger there, now smaller in terms of the distance traveled. Now, this can also be somewhat explained by coming in to the previous all-time high of Ethereum, up to about $4,800. This currently got up to about 40, let's see, 40, I'm looking at the high right here, 47.92, just shy of $5,000, right? But the breakdown is bullish in and of itself. The breakdown is at a falling wedge that faked us out, came back inside. All eyes are going to be on right here. What happens? Currently, the RSI is below the 50 mark, which is right here, option J. See, 50 mark right here, 50.44. Right? It's just roundabout. The money flow is a bit negative on the 8-hour, but what does it look like on the 1-hour? I bet it flipped back positive. Sure did. Flip back positive here. And look what happened. The price still came down, found support with the money flow positive. RSI came down, bounced here, and now coming back up. This tried to make the move, couldn't quite get it. Now, why is that? Because look left on the chart. Put a horizontal line. Look left. This is where this topped. This is where all this held above. This is where this bounced. This is where, look, rejection, 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 right about rejection. So there's a lot of price interactivity at this level. And it feels like, but there's just a little line there. Well, there's previous price memory from all the liquidity that's traded right about this zone. So if we can get above this, find support and continue, great. But as it stands right now, this has been exciting, but it tells us nothing until we get a pullback from here and see where the bulls defend. That's what we need to realize. Moves, an initial move on a 1-hour chart on a candle does not tell you the story of a reversal. The initial move tells you that there's an impulse and that could be a reversal. What you want to watch out of these, hourly moves, we get the initial impulse up. Are we breaking any trends? Are we breaking past any previous horizontal key levels of support and resistance? On any retrace, do the bulls defend a higher low? Those are the things we want to be paying attention to. Those are the things we want to be paying attention to. But continuing on, we got some other things in here as well. Okay, we got the ETH whale stacking right now and all the, ETH treasury stories like cooking up and heating up right now, which is very bullish, especially considering what's going to be deployed in terms of RWAs and stablecoins. But then we also got some worrisome data here. Now, this could be good. This could be bad. Who knows? This is also speculation. The Bureau of Labor Statistics to basically revise down 550,000 to 950,000 jobs in its September revision. It would be the largest annual cut in 15 years. It's a correction big enough to rewrite the story of US job growth. Now, why would I be showing you this when we're talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum and altcoins and what's going on? Well, because we're discussing what's going on with the Jackson Hole Summit with Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Fed, and the FOMC meeting that's happening in September, discussing rate cuts, softening that restrictive, those restrictive framework that the markets are operating in now. If we get back to quantitative easing, the markets rip. One of those things, what is the Fed's mandate? Jobs and inflation. Keeping those two things in check, keeping people in jobs, labor force strong, and making sure inflation isn't, running away. Well, we're getting conflicting data, just like I said earlier in this stream, in that this technically would be terrible if we had this weakness in the labor market. However, this could be a wonderful incentive for the Fed to more likely cut rates. However, we also just got a PPI reading that shows that inflation's starting to tick up. And so again, we're at odds here. And then the other thing is we just had a change in the person that was running the BLS. And so is this a revision because all the numbers were fake before, or will this be a revision because they're trying to set the stage to incentivize Jerome Powell to cut? Nobody knows what's real anymore, and any government anywhere, because every bit of data feels like it's overwhelmingly manipulated, and we can't trust a damn thing. So what do? We're getting all this data back and forth, and it's frustrating. But then we also see we're getting record levels of bankruptcy filing now. Look, at this point in the year, up to 446. We are beyond, see this little level higher than during COVID. We have more bankruptcy so far this year than we have had at this point when we had COVID. So we are having some very restrictive destruction that's happening in the business force right now. But then how do we lay it all out? Well, let's go through a couple more bullish things here, and then we're going to look at the charts because we're seeing massive growth. Despite the near-term pullback in price action, look at the fundamentals. And what do we see? The value of tokenized RWAs on Ethereum is up by 20x since January of last year. 20x increase in the value of tokenized RWAs on Ethereum. The growth has been fueled by the world's biggest asset managers deciding to bring their fund products on chain. And we see one of the major ones here. Look, BlackRock Ethereum, which would be this dark blob here, massive growth. The next biggest one is Ondo. And we can see this from one of the Ondo team members here actually highlighted that, but massive growth within the ecosystem of RWAs. And Chainlink, by the way, despite whether you're looking at Ondo, whether you're looking at Ethereum, or whether you're looking at, I mean, name the coin, it doesn't really matter. The large majority of them are using Chainlink services to make sure that they can do all this effectively between different data sets, between Web 2 and Web 3, between different chains. So Chainlink has become one of these sort of investments that gives you access to all of these other things, all these other chains and other Web 2 plays are doing as well. So Ondo, I'm very bullish on. Chainlink, super bullish on. But this is amazing to see 20x growth since January of 2024. And then we see, here we go, Chainlink. And this is what I'm looking forward to on Chainlink. Chainlink Reserve. And I don't mean the reserve that Chainlink has. I'm talking about corporate Chainlink reserve strategies like we're seeing with Tom Lee with Ethereum. I think unequivocally, we're going to see corporate Chainlink reserve strategies where they're stacking Chainlink because the major play that Chainlink is across exposure that you're getting to so many different things that blockchain is going to provide as the world steps into this new age, this new digital asset age. Chainlink is going to, integrating the world's largest global finance players. It's also required for proof of reserves, especially with some of the recent legislation. We also see integrating the most meaningful RWAs and also corporate link reserves, I do think are coming. So stack, and we're seeing massive growth in this area. Massive growth. In fact, over $93 billion secured on chain. So there's so much that they're doing with Chainlink, and I hope you guys are bullish. Now let's hit in there. Yo Soy reposted the stream. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. You see, when you guys chat from X, I can see it. It shows me a little X when you do stuff, when you engage. Same thing on YouTube, same thing on Rumble. So make sure right now, just a little friendly check. Look down below this video. Have you hit the like button? Have you engaged? Have you said something in the live chat? Get active in here. I'd love to see you guys because I see all your names and it's great to see you. In Phoenix, if there's any space between you and the car in front of you, if you're not tailgating the guy in front of you, someone will merge into that space 100% of the time. I hear that. Aggressive defensive driving, right? That's what I learned, especially living in New York. But let's go ahead and look at some of these. Now, Ethereum is on the cusp of making some really nice moves here. We saw the pretty large downtrend in price action here on the lows. I'm just looking at how low these lows are. Now look between here and here, pretty big drop here, but the RSI is still a little bit down, but this is holding and bouncing. Not only is it bouncing on the 1 hour, it came above the 50 line, came back down, and now is back above it. Strength is trying to be in control here. Strength is trying to be in control here. It's really making the effort to do so. On the 4 hour chart, we still have not yet broken through this 50 line, which is what we want to see. But again, we want to see Ethereum break above this 4,300, maybe get a little bit rejection up in this zone here, 4,350 support, then launch. That's what I'd like to see, but we have to see how it's going to play out. If we look at this on, let's actually look here on the BitLab trading stack. We see kind of neutral, bullish, bullish, neutral, neutral, bearish, bearish on the quick look dashboard here. But we have the momentum wave swung. The VWAP, yellow line here, flipped back above the 0 line, meaning they're looking currently at least to play a positive spread. So RSI triple bottomed here, now moving back up. The stochastics angled to the upside. This looks like it wants to make a move here. Is this just a pretty sharp V-shaped recovery? It's all going to be determined in this zone right here. If we get a rejection, this all could be a fake out in this zone. If this is able to push up into this bull flag or find support and continue, then we potentially have a reversal in order. But yeah, there's another sign we have to look for, and that's the Fibonacci. See, look at this. Pushing right up into this. It just so happens it's also right where the 382 fib is. So this would be the weakest form of a bounce in terms, this would show bears are in control. If this comes down, rejects at the 382, it can't even get anywhere near the golden pocket up here at 4,500. Bears in control. This would likely have a pretty big move to the downside. If this can find some, basically chop consolidation here or break through and find support on the 382, our next level up that we're watching is going to be right here at 4,500. We can, draw this right up. It's going to be somewhere about like that. About the low side, mid 4472 zone up into the 4,500. This is going to be the area. Now, what I'd like to see, which would wreck a lot of people, but we could play it if it happens, is, a little rejection here, a breakout, find support, come back up into this and come back down somewhere in this region, find some support and then break out. Because that would wreck people. As soon as this comes up and reverses, like, oh, it's done. But that's not the case. Now, we don't know how this is going to play out because there's so much riding on what Jerome Powell says on Friday. But because Ethereum just entered that finance stage of corporate treasury stacking, the ETH treasuries, if that narrative expands, then you could also see a bit more bullishness come into this, because we are seeing bullishness in the ETH to Bitcoin pair. It's already broken out of this downtrend. Now, if we look at this a little bit more constructively, it looks like we're probably right at the edge of that. Yeah. So this touch, this touch, this touch, and look, we're right at the edge. So we have not yet broken out, but we're right on the cusp of that. Now, if we let's go back to the money flow and RSI, keep it simple. And look at this. We're still under this last moving average here. I think this is a 50, the 50. Let me see how I have it set up currently. Orange is the 50. So the 50, so if this is able to break out of this, that would show a lot of bullishness for the alts. But we are seeing some positivity here, even with what's going on. We see this move right here with, let's go to the daily. We have a basically nice move to the downside. Why is this all jacked up? There we go, 4 hour. So we have this sort of slight rising. See how this is slight rising? Rising wedge is the word I'm looking for. Look, we already had the fake out down. We had a fake out to the upside, and now we're down again. If this does continue to the downside, this is what we want to see for altcoins. We want to see the dominance falling. So let's pay attention to this. But man, we are seeing some movement on some assets. AVAX had some good news today with what they're doing with their partnership or potential integrations with Toyota. But look, rising, broadening wedge. Okay, we have the breakdown. This doesn't tell me anything yet. This tells me this could be the start of a move, but we have not even gotten beyond this range or these lows right in here. There's nothing in this move that tells me reversal yet. It just shows, hey, this is exciting. This could come up here and just fully reverse. Because look on this candle. Bulls tried, bears brought it all the way down, bulls brought it back. So there's a lot of volatility here showing indecision. This is an indecision candle right here on this 4 hour candle. So if this cannot get above this now, I'm expecting to this, the bullish case would be if this rejects to come back down and either do a higher low or form a double bottom like this, potential reversal, a W bottom. If this just rejects and loses this, then that's just a continuation. Potentially, we'd be looking at about a $21, $21.50 avalanche. But I'm very bullish on avalanche, so this should be a gift if that happens. If this does form a W formation, come back up, you're watching again for this level, this 23.50 to break, at which point you would be clearing all of these moving averages because they'd be coming down like this as well. So we're seeing some nice bullish impulses, but there's no data on them yet because we need to see a reversal on these candles. If we look on the 1 hour, for instance, okay, yeah, we got to move up. Cool. We need to see what happens on the first move down. Where do the bulls come in? Same thing with Ondo. I mean, it looks exactly the same. W formation breaks out, comes back down. Now we have triple bottom here. We broke beyond this high. Cool. That was super sideways. We broke beyond this high. Cool. Bears immediately brought it back down. We're still under the moving average. So there's no conviction on this move yet. And that has to do, in my opinion, with this monumental network mover, market mover, I should say, which is the Jackson Hole Summit. And Jerome's, is he dovish? Is he, oh, we need to be flexible. Oh, we need to be more restrictive. Oh, we're going to wait and see. All of the tonality of his conversation, his discussion, his talk on Friday at 10 a.m. is going to give us any indication. Yeah, I think we can start cutting. Maybe there's free cut. Boom, this market rips. I'm not sure. We may, it's worrisome that the PPI's up. We may need to wait a little longer. This market will dump if that happens. Same thing with Aerodrome. See Aerodrome? We kind of broke out on Aerodrome. More bullishness here, but also monumental news with Aerodrome still on the cusp of people's minds with the integrations Coinbase has with the Base ecosystem and what that means. And also a lot of the institutional players that are involved with Bitcoin on Coinbase and some of the DeFi that's becoming available through the Base ecosystem with Morpho and Moonwell and so on and so forth. And those are not Aerodrome, right? But Aerodrome will be, major player in processing a lot of those transactions. Now, we do have a bit of an inverse head and shoulders here, but I mean, we've got a lot of work to do here. Bulls tried, bears brought it back down. Cool. Not looking cool. The whole nature of today's stream, this is exciting. But I mean, even look, Cardano broke down. Oh my God, came right to the level that we had identified for months. All the way back, not months, this is a 1 hour chart, back into July, okay? We've had this identified. It came back down to it. We talked about this 2 days ago, potentially coming down into the 83, 84 cent range. Look where it came down into, 83, 84 cent range. Now, this feels exciting, but a lot of times when you have a move down, you come back to visit the scene of the crime. This is the scene of the crime, this trend line. So if this rejects here, that's just a confirmation of a further breakdown. If this is able to get back inside, find support, great. But the whole point of right now on most of the charts, there's not clear signal. And that's because there's a lot of indecision going into Friday. Some of the move down is preparation, hedging themselves if the market's going to crash further. Some of the move back up is over exuberant people going, oh, it's going to pump. So they hop in. Ill-informed. You're not missing anything by not being in this move. You can allow this to come back inside, find some support here, or even slice all the way through, find some support. But wait for a move up, wait for a move down. Look at where the bulls come in because they might not come in there. They might come in down here, which would be a lower low. So we're waiting right now for the ingredients to play out to give us more of an informed decision about what to do. And part of this is going to be put on hold a little bit until the decision is more clear based on what the discussion and talking points are on Friday. Now, I do think, let me see, Forex Factory. Let me look at one more thing here. And that is, let me see, USD. Yeah, FOMC meeting minutes are also at 2 p.m. today, which is going to be some indication a little bit about what they discussed at the last FOMC meeting. It might give us some hints. There might be some volatility around it, but right now I'm looking for buy opportunities that I'm holding into where I think the actual major pump's going to be. If you're actively trading this, then look to the formations. If you're looking here on, for instance, let's say, Ondo, or Link. So look at this, Link breaking out. But look, we faked out here. We faked out here. Now we're back above and we have a lower high. Huge volume though. So this is different from all of these moves. Much more volume, you see. But the money flow came up and it's kind of retracting again. Much weaker here as well. So although this is exciting, and although I'm super bullish on Chainlink, I would be a little bit hesitant here. If this does come down, back down and we're on the 1 hour, go down to like the 15 minute and watch for this to come down for potential reversal signs here. And then on the move back up, that's where I get in there. You don't need to jump into the top of a green candle. Wait for the bulls to define the area that they're defending. And let's be patient because this market, I still think has so much room to go to the upside. So big love to each and every one of you. Do we have no super chats today? Awesome. No other notifications for members. Okay, cool. Big love to you all. I appreciate you. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. Make sure you're hitting that like button, subscribe button, ding the bell. Get active in these live chats. Get active in the Discord. That should have been posted. I did not. Let me pin this to the top. I posted, I just didn't pin it. There, it's pinned to the top of the live chat. Join us in Discord. Drew's in there. I'm in there. Josh is in there. DZ's in there. Tim's in there. TJ's in there. So get in our super group, man. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. It's these moments that people get frustrated, and there's an indecision time that most people wreck themselves. So take that as a hint to either spend a little bit more time educating yourself right now, or just get out of your own way and get out of the charts until there's a more clearly defined direction, which could be very up coming this Friday, but it also could be a rejection down for a little bit more of some troublesomeness in the coming days and weeks. But I still think this market will resolve to the upside as following, these shakeouts, which are regular in market. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And I'm going to have this forwarded to the Discover Crypto stream, which in about 30 minutes, Drew will be on there. So I love you guys. That's all I got. Adios, muchachos.